recently there's been a very popular person on the internet that's a spokesman for the White House, and her name is Carolyn Levitt, and she wears a crucifix sometimes on her chest there, and anyway, she gets a little flack from the media sometimes for it, and I thought it would be interesting to draw you into the origins of things. I'm kind of a researcher. It looks for the first time something happens, and I go back and try to discover what was going on in the past. And people are usually falling for uniformitarianism, which means the idea that what you're seeing today is the same thing that was going on back in the past. Uniformitarianism. They use that for evolution too. You know, they look around and they go, yeah, that thing's been there for 3.5 billion years or whatever. And that thing's been crawling around out here in this forest for 2.3 million years. No, it hasn't, actually. Things change, you know. Sea levels, all that stuff. It's been going on, you know, for several thousand years. You can just see it in the geological record, you know, when they blow up the sides of the mountains to put in expressways. Anyway, the idea that the cross is a symbol that we should be cherishing because of the idea. You know, I was in Roman Catholicism, and I saw lots of wooden crosses and people were bound down to them, and I was going, what? And I knew there was something absolutely weird about that. Anyway, people wear the talismans, you know, to show their belief in the death of Yahusha. But he didn't die on a crux. That didn't come along until the 4th century when Constantine blended these things together. And I'm going to switch the screen around here in a moment. I just want to mention to you that as I'm making this video, it's a new year, okay, coming up. And the new year starts at the beginning of summer, which is actually spring. I know it sounds crazy, but if you read Exodus, or Shemoth, chapter 12, verse 2, it'll all straighten out for you. And you can visit TorahZone.net and download this year's coming up appointed times sheet. This is what it looks like. And it's a 4-page tract printable on one piece of paper, and it tells you the reason for the festivals that we're not observing usually in the world, but these are actually things that go on in the scriptures. And the real calendar, you see 30, 40 calendars up there on the internet being taught, and actually there's only one calendar, and it's in the scriptures, and it's not in the zodiac. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the seasons, and people are confusing you. But this is basically a 4-page tract. You can download it at TorahZone.net, and it's free. You don't have anything to lose. And if there's anything that you can find in here that's not correct, just let me know. The main thing that I wanted to discuss today was, you know, really briefly, how the sun symbol became adopted into Christianity, and everything else from sun worship became adopted. But this symbol that we cherish so much, well, some of us don't, but we because we've discovered what it really is, we'd like to share with you some of the facts about that. So hang on, and we're going to switch this thing around, and I'm going to show you my notes so you can review them and back them up and test them. Okay? Test everything. So here we are. How did the Crux become the symbol of Christianity? Well, that's a very good question. Let's look into this. What we call the image of the beast in Scripture, what would that be? Well, we're going to find out. This might be the actual image that we're discussing right now. Constantine, who gave EASTER, ISHTAR in the ancient past, and his solar image of the sun deity that he worshipped to the followers of the later generations of Yahushua HaMashiach. They call him the J-Man. In the 4th century is when this happened. That would be, during the time of Nicaea in 325 CE. This man, Constantine, was the emperor of the Roman Empire, and he called these elders to the councils, and he imposed on them certain things. One of the things was this idea of the Crux. The Crux was his symbol for his sun deity, and it was already on the shields of his soldiers, because he had seen in 321 CE, he saw a Crux beneath the sun. And in the Latin, there was words written, "In this sign, conquer." Anyway, that's something that really made an impression on him. Now, if Carolyn, that would be the spokesman for the White House, wears the talisman of the Crux without knowledge of its origins, she should wait until she understands those origins before putting on the image of the pagan emperor's deity, Apollo Sol Invictus, the unconquerable sun. That's what Sol Invictus means. It was a translator who came along decades later named Eusebius Hieronymus Sophronius, and they call him Jerome, which is not really his name. That's just what the educated people call him. The translator, this man, Eusebius Hieronymus Sophronius, produced the Latin Vulgate, and he worked on it from 391 through 403 CE. And in this document, which we understand to be the Latin Vulgate, being the scriptures of the word of Yahuwah in Latin, he substituted the Greek word staro, which means stake, mast, or pole, and he substituted for the Latin word crux. He didn't use the Latin word for staros, which is staro. He didn't use that word because the habit had already been imprinted on people's minds of the crux. The symbol of the crux had been the symbol of the sun in every place and in every time. It became the symbol for Christianity during the reign of Constantine. The translator of the Latin Vulgate opted for the word crux instead of the Greek word staro, thus merging Constantine's symbol of the crux into a translation for the very first time. The very first time the word crux was inserted into any translation. Of course, the first translation was the Greek. That was a translation, staro. The ST, let's look at that word up here, staros, and this ST is the root of the word, and it means stake. That's what it comes from. It's actually the upright pole. Now, there's a man who lived in the 1800s whose name was Ethelbert William Bullinger, AKC double D. That stands for Associate of the King's College. And he was a doctor, a teacher, a very educated man, but he was very steeped in tradition, of course. But he knew, through study, that there was something wrong, and he knew that the word crux was not an original word, but it was put into the Latin. He was living during 1837 through 1913. He was an Anglican Catholic clergyman. He was a scholar and theologian who annotated numerous errors in the Anglican Catholic King James Version. And his work will confirm the erroneous word crux that's mentioned here. Just look him up and you'll get a lot more information on a website of mine called fossilizedcustoms.com // takeupcross.html. Thanks for watching this, and we'll see you in the next exciting video.